Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Happy Friday. We've got a couple of really good guests that'll be on today. And we'll be joined by Pete Chambers, Doc Pete Chambers. And we'll be joined by Erik Holt. So I can't see my rundown. I'll just grab it, I guess. Do you feel like everything is just coming to an end almost? Like it's just coming to this place? Pam Bondi today appointed Ed Martin to oversee an investigation into Adam Schiff and Letitia James. That caused the Krappenstein brothers to lose their stuff a little bit on that. But we're gonna talk about some more election fraud stuff and the article that I'm getting ready to put out that you'll get right after the show. That is kind of a deep dive into all things Eric Coomer. We're going to talk about Eric Coomer for the next 10 months. And not only are we going to talk about him, but we're going to be publishing a bunch of things. I've got some white papers and other documents that I was able to grab directly related to what's happening with Dominion and Smartmatic and ES&S and how are they all connected, and try to put all these pieces together and just show it to you. And then let you decide. I'll let you run out and use any AI platform you want to use. And you tell me whether or not Eric Coomer was the same Eric that was on the call that said, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Trump's not going to win. I made sure of it. When he was in a position to make sure of it, he's a bombastic individual. He loves Satan. He's got the Church of Satan's prized possession on his arm. And frankly, he's just not a very good person. Now, he loves good publicity when it comes to going to the media and saying, hey, we need you to slander Joe Altman. By the time that I'm done with Mr. Coomer, by the time that I'm done with him, there won't be a person out there that'll believe that he wasn't responsible. Going back to, I need to correct something. It wasn't the 2012 election in Mongolia. It was the 2010 election in Mongolia. So I want to make sure I clarify that. And it all kind of melds together when you start looking at the number of times that these systems have failed, glitched, done things they weren't supposed to do, shown irregularities, and then they say, oh, it's just, whoops. Well, it's just a glitch. Yeah. Imagine if your phone glitched that much. I mean, this is the most important thing that represents the people. And they want to put it in the hands of just a few people. And you trust me, just go back to doing what you're doing. Go to sleep. We're going to steal elections. And so you're going to see some stuff that will show that they have stolen the election at every level, and they can do so on demand. They can do so on demand. They can decide tomorrow that they want to take a municipal election in Poughkeepsie, Kansas, or in Anchorage, Alaska. They pick and choose what they take, and they systematically take it by incrementalism. In other words, you could show some anomalies. You got to tell people don't take advantage of the elections, or don't dispute an election, otherwise you're an election denier. And they set the dog whistles. But the key person at the very beginning, the genesis of election fraud in this country, all roads lead back to Eric Coomer. Sorry, that's the reality. Okay. So today we're going to talk about, this is not going to be a complacent video. You know, yesterday I went after the fat man, Bannon, and got some text messages from people, and they're like, oh, Joe Bannon, I thought he was good. You know, no, I'm not, I'm getting away from, like, Con Inc. can kiss my ass. There are certain people that are good people. So for those that believe in truth, accountability, and courage, you're going to have a lot of that today. First voice we're going to have is Dr. Pete Chambers. He's a decorated Green Beret. He's a physician whistleblower who's now running for the governor of Texas. and I hope he makes it. This will be a big deal. From the battlegrounds overseas to the front lines of border security, because he got involved in that going all the way back to 2021. Doc Pete has fought for liberty at every turn. And now he's taking that fight over to Austin, the weirdo hangout, Austin, Texas. And then the second interview that we're going to do today, because we're going to knock out two, is Erik Holt. So let me tell you that Erik reached out to me. He was a fire chief, and he reached out to me and said, "No one will listen to my story. They won't listen to what I have to say." And a bunch of people for a municipal election, 2023, it was a polling place at the station. And so they said, "Erik, there's some really big problems. I need you to look into this." So he did. He reviewed days of footage. And then he was told right afterwards, when he brought the evidence to them and said, "Look, this is fraud. These people need to go to jail." Took it to the DA. They promptly told him he must destroy the video footage. He had to destroy it. He had clear evidence of election misconduct, and he refused to look the other way. But when the corrupt officials demanded he destroy it, they fired him, blacklisted him, forced him into a costly legal battle. Now, nobody talked about this. And guess what? This is right here in Colorado. And he has been fighting this tooth and nail. So this isn't just another episode. This is a rally cry, and I believe that you decided. So somebody said yesterday, I'm done voting, because President Trump came out and said that the Operation Warp Speed was a success. Well, and somebody said, "Well, this is ridiculous. I'm just never going to vote again." Like, why? Both sides are shit. And I would tell you that the reason why, there's a saying, if you stand on a mountain, if the people at the top of the mountain and you're at the bottom of the mountain and you're crying, but it's in silence, they can't hear your cry. So we decided when President Trump came into office that we were just going to be quiet. We were going to let him do his thing. Sit back, relax. Again, the whole concept of just, let us handle it. We got it now. We're in office. Let's go. That should never have happened. You should never have taken your foot off the neck of the devil. Did you think that President Trump is just going to walk in and magically just shake a wand and everything go swimmingly? But that's what happened in 2025. Everyone laid down their swords, went back to watching TV. And that is the exact reason. You know who didn't? The radical left. They have fought. The devil has literally made this his playground. Now, all you get to hear from them is grifter, 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 grifter. And you don't support the people that are out there doing it, but you don't get out there and do the work either. And so if you want to know how to get President Trump to do the right thing, Kyle Seraphin, I push a lot of stuff from him. He got a bunch of people fired from the FBI, and we're going to play a video too today. And that video is going to be about someone talking about Jensen's wife just died of cancer. She just died of cancer. And how could you just let a podcaster just come out and make it so that he loses his job? And I'm thinking to myself, I got no sympathy for you. So we're going to go through that a little bit later as well. So let's just get started, shall we? Do we have the doc in the house or no? Okay, let's. Do you have that? Oh. Let's do this. Let's go through some fun stuff first, shall we? Yeah, I don't have the Substack. Yes, I'll put it up in a bit. Can we talk about somebody flipping out over the Sweeney jeans? Should we do that? Let's play cut one. Oh, it is? Oh. Wow. Well, I think we should get her some jeans, don't you? A jean jacket. Can everybody hear you or no? Did you make it so they can hear you? Well, you got to make it so they can hear you. You're killing me. You're like telling jokes in the background. Nobody can hear you. Let's do this. Let's let's also go to cut two. Cut two is cut two, right? All of them are images? You don't have. No, there isn't. No. Listen, let me just tell you about copyright stuff. You are allowed to play a clip for anything, Patrick, anything, as long as you give commentary on the clip that you actually play. They cannot copyright you for it. We're going to talk about it. That is free use. But let's put up this South Park. They're mocking ICE and Christy Nome. This is I don't really know. What am I getting from this? Border Patrol, ICE, photo op, people. Oh, they are. Okay, that's okay. All right, so let's look at cut 3. I need to be able to see these cuts too. Let's look at 3. This is Hillary in a hot yoga class. That can't be her. Is this an AI version of her? It is. Man, AI did not. Even the AI makes her look like not good. Okay, so spend 12 hours in a fully electric car with Polis lecture anyone why gas stations should be a thing of the past, while making a stop at every EV charging station for photo ops. All right, put that up. Yeah, his nose is much too small in that picture. So that's one of the guys, by the way, Jared Polis, that should be in prison right now. There are several cases that are out there, and I found out that the FBI SAC, Mike Melichek, he was one of the people responsible for looking into this fraud claim, this massive case of fraud and bribery and payoffs massively. Includes Phil Weiser, the governor, a bunch of people, Supreme Court justices, nearly every one of them. And one of the biggest cover-ups you're going to find, and has been trying to sweep it under the rug, almost as if we were talking about the Hunter Biden laptop. But Governor Polis should be in prison right now. He should have been indicted and put in prison. Well, when you have an AUSA that is married to one of the Supreme Court justices of Colorado, and you have all these conflicts of interest, and there's so many people involved in it, then who do you have when even the DOJ, the people in the DOJ, are turning their back, and then you have an outside AUSA looking at it, who's trying to again sweep it under the rug as a favor to the other AUSA and other people because they're all buddies. AUSA is the assistant, or excuse me, the U.S. attorney, so the acting U.S. attorney for the DOJ in a state. And this is lockdown simulation weekend, so Fauci is you and Fauci are quarantined in a cabin, and every hour he changes the rules about what you're allowed to do based on the latest data. So what would you do if you were in a cabin? Put my comments up real quick, will you? What would you do if you were in a cabin with Anthony Fauci? If you got just 12 hours with Anthony Fauci, what would you do? What would you do? Austin, what would you do?
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah.
Choke him with his mask.
Would you choke him with his mask or put a pillow over him? Would you get the wood chipper out?
Well, it'd be a my pillow.
Would it be? Can people hear you? I hope they can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. It'd be a my pillow. You'd have the my pillow. Wouldn't that just be ironic that he would be smothered with a my pillow? All right. So let's talk about what's happening in Texas currently. We'll walk through this. Texas political chaos. Democrats fled the state to prevent a voting on the redistricting. This is in the AP News. They arrive in Illinois to block a vote back home on the House map sought by Trump. This has now been going on for a couple weeks. Now, they stated that they were just going to expel them, but that hasn't happened. And this standoff is over redrawing the U.S. maps to make sure that it was written based on people who are able to vote, that are citizens. So it's actually heating up quite a bit right now, and they are. This is supposed to be democracy, right? So I just want you to point out. I want to point out just the ironic nature of what is happening right now. So if you decide you don't like something, and the people elected 100 people, let's say they elect 100 people in the Colorado or in the Texas legislature, and they said, hey, and by the way, Texas got it right because they only meet like I think once every 2 years. But the Texas says, hey, I want this to be Republican. It's a Republican deal. So you go and you vote. Okay, you're supposed to go vote, and let's say that 60% of those people are Republican, and people send them to the legislature to vote on things. And you take a vote, and 60 on party lines, 60 say, yep, we want to do that. We want to change the lines, and 40 say no. That is democracy. Now, let's take a step back here for a minute. The 40 say, I'm not going to show up. I'm going to block your ability to have the will of the people heard. That's criminal. You're committing a crime. You're blocking the ability of the people in the state of Texas to have a voice because you don't like it. So you want me to accept the 2020 election, the 2022 election, the 2024 election. You want me to accept all that. But if you don't like what happens when people elect people in Texas, you just say, I'm out. I'm going to go to Illinois and hide. So that democracy is the fact that we get to stand up and fight against this fascist regime. For 4 years, we put up with these demons. And now we want to take the soft hand. You want me to have the soft hand on these people. You want me to feel sorry for people that are losing their jobs. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for them. They should be arrested, charged, and thrown in jail, all 40 of them. I don't even know if it's 40. It's like 23, 24. Throw them in jail. Because if you don't get what you want, you get to block the will of the people. That's treason. And you can color it any way you want. We have rules in the country. I had to put up with it for 4 years. And if I had my way, let me just tell you, I'd be throwing people out on their heads. And I still today, I want blood. I mean, I've told you this before, I want blood. But it's not for me to get blood. It's for me to stand up, do the right thing, let God be in the driver's seat, and to just act. Pray, stand, speak, act, so I don't become these clowns. But look what you've done to Texas. So Doc Chambers is in Texas. Pete Chambers is in Texas, and he's running for governor of Texas. My guess is that he wouldn't do what Abbott did. He'd have thrown every one of them. He would have sent them out and said, I want arrest warrants for every single one of them. I want thrown in jail, and I want them expelled. I'll appoint people and worry about. I don't care. I don't actually care what the courts say. Don't care what the courts say. We're not going to have an interference with the ability of the people's voice to be heard. So with that said, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to go ahead and bring Doc Chambers in. I'm going to start calling him Doc Holliday. Doc, welcome.
Hey, right. Hey, Joe, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Good. I've spent the last couple days going.
Go ahead.
I spent the last couple of days going a little off the rails on Con Inc. So you're probably going to get a couple calls.
Right. We've got the receipts down here, brother. Hey, I work with a friend of yours too, Phil Waldron, occasionally on election stuff down here. We're pushing for paper and hand count ballots, something that we're looking at from our campaign side heavily. And I believe we may get it in a few counties, which is great.
Well, let me just tell you about that specifically. I let people do their work, and normally I would do my own work, right? But there's so much of it out there. And then this little prick, Eric Coomer, decided to, he cost me $90,000. that said that I have to, in a case that I'm not, and everyone kept settling. And I mean, frankly, I don't need paper tigers. Do you need paper tigers? You need people. How about if you had security that watched over your back, right? They watched over your back. And when it came time to do the right thing and the rubber hit the road, they went ahead and just laid down on the ground and be like, it covered their heads up. Are those good guys for you?
Court martial in my world.
But that's what we have. The whole Con Inc. And by the way, this is why Phil Waldron kind of stepped out of the national stage. He was like, this is not manly. This is boys. This is boys and little girls acting like boys and little girls, right?
That's right. He's absolutely right. And, he's still involved, but it's just if your colleagues are, your counterparts, quote unquote, aren't stepping up to the line with you, paper tigers, perfect, well said. It's what we're dealing with. Texas is no different than any other state. Our legislature, even though it's heavy on the the Trumpy side, got two types of people in Texas: Trumpies and Bushies. And there's an appearance, right? And there's an appearance.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah, to use it all day long. There's an appearance that these are stalwart Texans, right? We're going to come out here and we're going to kick everybody's butt. No. You got a lot of rhinos in there, and so unfortunately, the speaker, Mr. Burrows, his problem set is that he's a coward, and he said that if the Democrats came back, listen to this, I'll let them have their pay. If you just come back on Friday, I'll let you have your pay. No, sir. Wrong answer. This is the third time this has happened to Abbott when we restructured the districts, talking about over the past 10 years. Abbott's been around for 12 years, 30-year politician. It's time to go. It's status quo is not working anymore. And we don't want the Bushy, that's a Bushy guy. We don't want his ilk here anymore. But with regard to this gentleman Burrows, the speaker, weak sauce, he needs to go as well. You slap them on the wrist or promise them that they'll get paid if they show up on Friday. Answer. We got Texas Rangers down here. I know many of them and worked with them on the border, and Operation Lone Star was a special operations liaison to that unit. And so we've made friends. We understand each other, and they're fully capable of extraditing anywhere from any place in the world.
Well, we've been on this show I've had you on the show several times over the last 4 years, and you have never been the one to back down from a fight, right? Like my spirit animal.
Yes, sir.
Right. And you have Abbott, which will back down. I mean, he's a paper tiger. You got the speaker backing down. He's a paper tiger. Doc, how do you see it any other way than they are committing a crime against the people of Texas?
Oh, well, this is one of those things, I was asking your, producer before I got on, what's the subject today? Because I never know. And so I just walk in there cold. And the subject is, why are you running? Okay. Why I'm running is because accountability and lack of leadership. I wasn't asking for this job. I got approached by a bunch of Texans that basically ambushed me to come out, at least look at it. We did. I spoke to some people at the upper level management in DC as far as politics goes. I'm not a politician, and I just said, "Hey, is this even feasible?" And it's feasible. Yes, it's a grassroots effort. So I don't care what politicians say about me. I've been blasted by a few already. I don't care what that I'm not going to get a billionaire in the state of Texas to support me. I don't allow strings to be pulled. When I get on these X spaces and stuff, people are like, "Well, you're not much of a fence sitter." No, I am not. Because if you look at the Texas fences, they're made of barbed wire. I don't sit on those. So, and that's not just a cliche. I just said it right there at the spot. But it's true. You have to take a stand or you'll fall for anything. That's a song. I get it. But I have no problem delineating between black and white and light and darkness. And in this case, we cannot allow this. You and I both know what a color revolution looks like in this nation. Yep. It's insidious in onset. And these things happen from within. And weakness breeds that. And there's weakness in the legislature. Look, I won't be a legislator. I'd throat punch somebody, but I will be the executive, and I will do what an executive does, which is lead from the front. Commander-in-Chief of Texas pulls a lot of weight. We've got about the 12th, somewhere between the 12th and 15th largest army in the world when it comes to the Texas National Guard and State Guard. We are the 8th largest economy in the world. Unfortunately, we're number 28, depending on what metric you use, to 44th in education. Well, there's a reason for that. If I don't have the ability to sustain that economy, then how do you pull up kids that can't do arithmetic and read to do that? You're bringing people from other places, and that's what we've done here in the state collectively in the legislature is to court all these foreign entities. Chinese people are building roads about 10 miles from now. Got a contract on a huge highway on Highway 290. No, unsat, not going to happen.
You know, you're a Green Beret, so you served your country. You operated in conflict zones. You were also a physician.
Sure.
You can't become a physician without some basic knowledge. By the way, I'm always going to get off script. They gave me all these questions to ask you, and I'm like, whatever. I'm going to just ask. I know you can answer any question I give you. So, but you've spoken truth in a very raw way for a very long time, right? So
Sure.
how you know, when you look at what Texas needs, why do you think that's what Texas needs? Why do you think that Texas will embrace this idea that, hey, I'm going to step in as the commander in chief of Texas, and I'm going to do what's necessary?
Great question. So great question. Let's look at what just happened here. We just had a storm, of course, a flood that the Guadalupe corridor was covered down on, and hundreds of people washed into the river. Our team, I'm a counter human trafficking team as well as humanitarian assistance and relief team. We went to work right away. It's our backyard, 2 hours from me, and we took pretty heavy lead on that. You know, you don't want to have a disaster to show you what leadership, you know, bad leadership looks like in an exigent circumstance. But we took the lead, honestly, with probably about 17,000, 20,000 citizen responders. And I brought in SEALs and Green Berets and MARSOC guys that were combat divers, took leave from their home stations and came home, they're Texans, and put them to work. And then we also fielded out field teams that went out into the periphery in some places like Sandy Creek that got no government response and did what leaders do, right? So you take chaos, you control the controllables, and then you bring some semblance of normalcy to it. But in that, I looked at the eyes of every person that I saw out there and truly care about them. That's the kinder, softer, you know, Doc Chambers, you know, Pete side, you know, that's a doc, but also using the operator stance of, you know, I know how to lead men and have done it downrange and have done it back home in the special operations community. And then my prior years as an enlisted guy. So I can do that. But when people say, well, you're just a soldier, you know, what do you know? You know, there's a little different flavor that comes with the Green Berets. We're warrior diplomats. Yeah, we can do direct action and we can do special reconnaissance and all those things, but you have to be a little bit more savvy when it comes to intelligence quotient and ability to understand culture and language. I've got 3 foreign ones that I can work my way through. But the point is it's to stay alive and then to build countries to either foreign internal defense or unconventional warfare, which we are experts at. And what falls under that category? That's regime change. And so I can see it happening to our country from within. It's soft. Yuri Bezmenov warned us on it. It's what's happening. We're not going to let it happen in Texas. So when I believe that I need to step up and take a stand, and I watch people coming in and talking to me, and I look at the sentiment analysis on all the different mediums, I've got the smartest guys in the world working with me. The JSOC targeter, retired, you know, that understand how to run these kind of things. Look, we're just going to let them lose. They're already doing it. And I'll just continue to be a public servant.
All right. So let's talk about the other side of you, right? I mean, there's the stick and the carrot, right? You you didn't ask for this. You emerged during COVID as a whistleblower. And you know, it was relatively new to all of us. Like I don't think that any of us woke up to say, you know, this is my life. This is what I want to lead my life. I sat on boards, did a bunch of things, helped with the human trafficking issue by building programs and things like that from the tech side. I know that you've had extensive experience on both sides of giving, serving, right? Not just serving in the military, but serving the people of Texas, right? So how does that time that you've had the last 4 years, and how does that shape this? How does this shape it into being able to see what's the future for Texas? Like what can you? I mean, it's got to be pretty clear.
Great question. Yeah, and you know, having been on Operation Lone Star, which was the Texas response after Biden opened the doors, opened the gates, CBP One app, you can come in and seek asylum with an app before you even walk in, and then you get a court date on your app, and so you just high five with a CBP guy, and away you go into the interior. What I saw is that there's an optics and reality to all these things, and the optics never really matched the reality until Trump came in. Now, you know, Trump is a good president. He does what he says, right? But I don't agree with everything he does. But I do agree with the way he handled the border in that it has stopped, right? We're not in a hemorrhage mode. The tourniquets are on. But we have 1,000 tiny cuts, and those little things right there are the backbiters that can continue to bleed, and then you're going to be in resuscitative care soon. So when I look at that, I match that up with not only the problem sets, because these things happen in parallel. Not everything, if you have a hammer, not everything needs to be nailed in if that's the only thing you've got. But I understand education system, definitely understand the energy system, because I got family in it. They're roughnecks, and it's understanding from a tactical level. But I talked to the guys down there in Houston, the landmen, and I'm going back down next week, talk to the oil guys and say, all right, what's the deal here? And you can say drill, baby, drill all you want. But if you don't turn on the refineries that have been shut down during the Biden administration, it takes 3 to 5 years to power one of those back up. If you can't pump it back up, if you can't, no matter how much you drill, the price per barrel coming out of the ground is a huge factor. And so we'll see what's happening there as we get closer to the election as to which way we go with that line of effort. When we look at medical freedom, that's a huge deal, because when in Texas, especially, Mary Talley Bolden, a doctor out of Houston, I'm going to put her straight up on a task force for decentralization of medicine, and so that we can shore up our position when the next pandemic health emergency of international concern comes along, to say, no, stick it where the sun don't shine. We have states' rights, and the state constitution is pretty robust in Texas. It is still considered by many to be the Republic of Texas still. And so it is a republic constitutionally. And
you're the only state in the union that has the ability to step out at any time.
Yeah, at any time. And I don't think that's necessary. I think we just live under our sovereignty as I always have. I've never taken no for an answer, staying legally, legal, moral, and ethical soundness. Just don't get caught, right? But truly, that sovereignty is something that is dear to the American character. William Barrett Travis said that inside the Alamo on 24th of February of 1836. Look, the American character is still alive. It's alive with you, me, a lot of other people in this freedom front, and that's why we have made a pretty loud, bang here, and people are listening.
So let's talk about some other things related to what people really want. Most of the time when politicians get on here and talk to me, they talk about stuff that doesn't really matter to the American people, right? Doesn't matter to the people in their community. What matters to the people in the community is education, opportunity, right? Lower taxes, and their children, right? They want opportunity. They want to feel as if the hand of justice is actually a real thing. One of the biggest problems we have across the country is that we don't own anything. We don't own our houses. We don't own our cars. We don't own anything else. And one of the biggest, boldest things that you've done in your campaign is say that you will eliminate property tax.
Eliminate completely,
right? Which means you're taking away a chain, the slavery that has bound 99% of the country. Right? You know who it doesn't affect? It doesn't affect those people like the Rockefellers and the Clintons, because they just put it into a nonprofit that they have legacy ability to control, and they don't pay taxes, right? Yeah. So none of these people pay taxes, but we have to pay taxes, right? So how are you going to do it? First of all, how are you going to do it?
Unconstitutional, right? That's unconstitutional, first of all. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness or property, that's a real thing. State constitution is very, very clear in Texas. The corporations are to be taxed, or usury fee, as they would call it. So how do you do it? First of all, there's a guy named Don Huffines. He ran for governor last time. He didn't win. Alan West was on the same ticket. He's a friend of mine, and I talk to him pretty regular.
Good dude.
He's going to go for the commissioner, right? So, or not commissioner, comptroller. And so what Don Huffines is proposing is to Doge Texas, right? Same principle. The problem set is, I saw on the federal level is there wasn't a lot of wraparound services from the legislature up there. A lot of weak people in DC, and so they didn't actually enact those savings to give them to the citizens. Exactly right now in Texas, I believe we're $26 billion surplus on just emergency response alone. We're in the billions on other surpluses. So there's a way to phase out the taxes pretty quickly. Governor Stitt in Oklahoma, I'm talking to his team. He's doing it right now. He's phasing it out. Sometimes when you turn off the switch on something, it can set a equilibrium problem set with regard to economy stuff. So it can be phased out pretty quick, I believe, within a couple of years. But I'm going to first of all look at the feasibility, do the study, make sure we can do it, and then by the second year is my intent to be at zero property taxes, because you utilize those funds that you got on reserve and you say, okay, here we go. This is how we're going to offset this. The other thing is you got to look at stupid policy. And stupid policy is when Abbott did a few years ago to lure in big corporations and big developers, he took off the usury fee to their trucks going up and down the roads. That's an infrastructure thing. Well, what are we doing? You know, these people that come in here from California driving Teslas, hey, look, those cars don't beat up the road that much, right? And don't California my Texas, by the way. Just go throw that out there. So,
but they're doing it. They're doing
it. Yeah, they're doing it. Oh yeah, they're doing it. But we don't want that politics. You know, I don't mind the folks from there as long as they vote right and they think right. But you know, there is a certain cancer that comes with that kind of politics, and we don't want that to continue here. It has happened. That's why we got rhinos in our state legislature. And then the other thing is we doge it, right? We get it tight, and then we look at where the expenditures could be cut back or saved, and then start giving that back to the people, and then truly tax the right people. So it's going to be those large corporations. We've got enough of them here right now. I got nothing against technology, although I do have a problem set with data centers. AI data centers are huge. Not a problem with the technology itself, but with the way they run water through their systems to cool. The first one's being put in Abilene, and look, they get less than 10 inches of rain a year. So, you know, now you're gonna tax the citizens more for their water. There again, there's another tax, and water and electricity is going to go through the roof.
You make people pay for what the corporations should be carrying the burden for, right? And that happens over and over again.
Bingo, right there, Joe. And yeah,
because they keep telling us that
these decisions are made.
And I'm thinking,
oh yeah, jobs. I get it, but yeah, and I know where you're coming at with this is, but it's going to end up being a problem set, because that one right now in Abilene was not discussed at the county commissioner level, was not discussed with the local leaders. The decision was made in Austin behind closed door with lobbyists, with Microsoft. So that kind of stuff has got to stop. So this is what I suggested to my staff, and they all kind of scratched their head and said, lobbyist TV? What do you mean? I was like, well, put a camera in the damn office, and then whenever they meet, I'll just turn it on and talk to them, say, well, go ahead. What deal did you have with Greg? I mean, we'll just let everybody watch it in Texas.
Yeah, well,
I got no problem with that.
And I got to tell you, I'm trying really hard to get to Texas as to become a Texas resident, and so the property taxes in Texas are awful,
out of control.
They're, I mean, $30,000.
That's right.
$30,000.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's just not even. That's not. That gets past the part of being fair. And Texas, by the way, has the largest number of homes that are foreclosed on by people over the age of 60 for not being able to pay their property tax. It's the largest. Texas is the number one state.
Yeah, here's a good one out. Yeah, here's a good one for you. And anybody out there that wants to fact check this, go ahead. Do it right now on your Google. Last 12 years, Abbott, 26% increase in property taxes. 26%.
Well, I can tell you right now that that's true. So although I don't technically own the house in Texas, I get to see the bill, and I was like, what in the world? Are you serious? That can't be real. Like, well, we don't have state income tax. And I'm like, I'd rather have a state income tax where people, and no property tax, like get a couple percentage points of state income. I don't think you should tax at all, personally. I think that you have enough gold in the ground in Texas. I mean, you're the number one producer of energy products in the country, the fifth largest in the world, and you're paying. Look, go to Dubai, go to the UAE, go to Saudi Arabia. They don't pay taxes on anything because they have a natural resource. Here, the natural resource is assigned to a company, then bilked and passed around to politicians and large corporations, and the people still get to be the brunt of all of it.
That's unsat. We're going to have to start somewhere. There's going to be a lot of I call it on my website. Of course, this is what we came up with: citizen-run task forces, not lobbyists, not special interests, but the smartest citizens in each category medical, energy, ag, cattle business. We've got to let the citizens make not the decisions, but to give the input so that the decisions can be made correctly. Right? Decisions are based upon if it's a proposition, it's great. We'll let them vote. But we've got to, somebody's got to make a decision. Sometimes perfect is the enemy of good. Right? So we got to make decisions.
Well, my issue is that common sense has never reached the doorstep of the people. And if you want to look at what has created the largest disparity between the poor and the very ultra wealthy, it's tax policies that have basically made it almost untenable for anyone to get to the next level. It's like winning the lottery. And by the way, I'm a lottery winner. I'm a personal lottery winner. My family was ridiculously poor. And at every step of the way, I had to defy all that by stepping around obstacles they put in front of me to say, no, this is your caste. You came from bad stock. You need to stay down here, right? And every step along the way, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And I had to fight tooth and nail. Now it's become even more prevalent because now the tax structure is such that it's become punitive to the place where that's all you can think about is how do I get past these fines, these punitive fines that get you to a place where you could even own a home if you came from that environment.
Right. Yeah, that's there's a disenfranchised populace. Okay, that's what I call it. And that's actually textbook for unconventional warfare 101. That is what I would do if I was overthrowing a country. I would do that with psyops. I would do it all kinds of different ways without firing a shot, and then soften up the target. And that's what's happened to our populace. Because I'd speak to people on regularly in inner city Houston, on an X Space the other night, and this guy came out and he was just like, "I'm a Democrat. I'm vote for you." Yeah, the problem is we have a closed primary, but he said he would change his voting style. So I'm like, go for it, brother, because there's a bell curve of common sense in the middle, right? And that's the thing that people don't want you to know about.
It's really big.
Political world.
It's a big bell. It's 80% of the population, Democrat and Republican.
There you go.
They're like,
right?
I like this guy. This guy.
Yeah, the nut jobs on the right and the nut jobs on the left, I don't care about them because they're a minority and you're never going to make them happy. The ones in the middle, they will move to whatever side it is when you come out with common sense. That's it. All I got to do is unite the clans. Check it out. This is great. Unite the clans. Think Braveheart. And then think Gladiator and return the Republic back to the people. Those two movies right there are awesome. And add in True Grit just for kicks.
Absolutely. 1,000%. Well, one of the things that I read through your campaign promises, but the biggest thing that hit me probably the hardest was the idea of transparency. How do I become transparent and bring the will of the people forward rather than the will of, you call it the left and the right? The two wings of the same bird that touched the uniparty, the rhinos. Frankly, these are traders that have sold out the people in their communities for a couple of pieces of silver, right? Because most of them are too stupid to ask for more money.
Yeah, I'm really bad at that too. I just told them, give me $18.36. That was the year it was Republic.
Yeah. Well, give me the 1 minute elevator pitch. How do people look? I'd vote for, if I go to Texas, I'll vote for you. I've been told that I need to run for governor of Colorado. I've threatened to do it. Everything we have now on the left and the right is weak sauce. In a straw poll in 2022, I was nominated to be to run for governor of Colorado. And they did a straw poll, and I got 76% or something like that, 78% of the people that were in the caucus that would have voted for me to become, which would have pushed everybody else out. But I turned down the nomination on the stage because I felt like I needed to support other people that were in the race. I made a political decision. I didn't make a people decision. I regret that now. Yeah,
that's a selfless decision, and those are hard. But I've had to do that before in a military career and say, hey, this guy, even though we're both equal in peers and status with regard to rank, I think this guy would be better for that particular mission. It's hard to do, but sometimes it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. But my wife does not want me to run for office.
Stay married.
23 years.
Stay married.
23 years.
Yeah.
The problem is we need strong men to run for office. What are we doing?
Hey, listen, if we don't do this time, it doesn't mean that it's over. It's just that he's tied with Perry for the longest running governor, longest governor in office. It doesn't mean it's over. It just means that we'll refit and we'll come back again. Unless we get somebody else that I can high five with and say, okay, you take the torch. But I'm in this for the win. And here's the deal. And this will be the pitch. Essentially, I don't like to use that word, but this is the bottom line up front. Bottom line at the end. It is the 3rd of March, 2026 is the primary. Now that's the day after the Declaration of Independence for Texas, March 2nd. So that would be, let's just call it the 3rd of March Liberation Day from complacency and status quo with the current regime in Austin. So that's the day that I got to get people to not only register to vote, but if I can just get 1 million of the almost 2 million veterans in the state of Texas, plus the people that live here in all these bases that have Texas driver's licenses. If I can get you all just to take a direct order from a lieutenant colonel and get out and vote, right? If I can do that, if I can amass that, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that your families, your children, your grandchildren will grow up in a different environment, because this republic will stand, and we will maintain the frontier spirit, everything dear to the American character. A constitutional republic will go on.
Doc Pete Chambers, for governor of Texas, I will vote for you. I appreciate all the work that you've done, and I appreciate the commitment that you've done. And one thing I'll say about our friend Phil Waldron, that's a man of great character too. That's a man that should probably step out into public office, even though I know he never will. Right? He's a man of great character, and so tell him I said
he's a true quiet professional.
Yeah, he said when you're a man, you don't hang among boys, I think is kind of what I got from it. And he
lives it.
He does. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. God bless you. I'll have you back on. We'll make sure that we contribute to you. And if you get a chance, what's your website? How do people follow you so I can make sure that I do that before you get off?
Yeah, it's real easy. Doc, D-O-C, Pete Chambers, CHAMBERS, make sure the S.org.
DocPeteChambers.org for governor. Go there, check it out. Drop him a few dollars. It's just a few dollars. I'm going to start pushing everyone to do the right thing and to donate where it is going to be effective. Good way to start. Doc, thanks for being on here. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
He's a good man. And when he brought up Phil Waldron, if you don't know, Phil Waldron is one of the few people that I met when I was in DC who never had a thirst for anything other than the right thing. He is a consummate professional. He worked in the security world, also in the military, and just a great dude. And he was at the symposium in 2021 with Mike Lindell, and there was some information that was out. Anyway, I looked at Phil, and I think I said I was talking to one of the guys that came there with me. His name's Don. And I said, he's checking out of this whole thing, because it was circus. It was a circus with people who had lost their ability to have maturity. See, that's what we lost over the last 4 years, maturity. Evil just goes off and does whatever it's going to do. Evil does what evil does. But our side, it's this thirst that you have for power and money and recognition. I've never been comfortable with any of it. So that comes off as arrogance. Joe, you're arrogant because you'll just kind of whatever and just walk away. Well, it's not arrogance. It's experience. Like I've just experienced more and I've done more in my life than most people have. Sorry, if you don't like that, that's the reality. And so the same thing we said for Phil and for Doc Chambers, it's like, how does the rubber meet the road? How do we make sure we accomplish what we set out to accomplish, become mission driven? And that you make sure you're mission focused, you get everything done, right? Check things off the list. Make sure everything checks out. Over the last 4 years, I think I got a little soft. I didn't want to talk about, because people would tell me, Joe, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. Hey, be nice to this person. So I was like, oh, maybe I need to play their game. And of late, I came back to the realization that I don't want to play anybody's game. I was much happier in 2019, 2020. I was happier when I stood out there in the COVID deal and I was beating the brakes off of the Antifa guys. I didn't care what people said about me. All of a sudden I did. And I let them affect, what I said and how I said it. Because I'm like, I probably should have said it. No, I want gallows. I want people who committed treason to be hung by those gallows. I want people who have done bad things to our country and to our countrymen. I want them to hang by bridges and let the crows puck their eyes out. That's what I want. And by the way, it's in the Constitution. It's actually in law that if you commit treason, you die. It was not a victimless crime and millions of people died. I think Fauci should be responsible and charged with war crimes because what he did in the United States and otherwise, I think Eric Coomer should go to prison for the rest of his life. I think he should be tried for treason. That's what I think about Eric Coomer. I think Dominion Voting Systems and John Polis and all of these people, they should go to prison for the rest of their lives or face the death penalty because of what they have done to subvert the will of the people in this country. I don't think you should have bots. I mean, if you have to have bots in social media, it means it's just not that popular. If you have to create an ability to piss people off and use emotions to actually hurt people in social media, that's not real. That's fake. And you shouldn't be able to lie to people, and you shouldn't be able to hide behind the fact that you have immunity as a social platform so that you can take away the voice of one over the other. But yet all those things exist. And our next guest, man, before I have him on, there's a 9-minute video. Do we have that queued up? It's 9 minutes long. All right. I'm not going to have Erik on yet until you watch this video. Then when I have him on, I'm going to talk about all the things that he discovered. This is the time where you get to be the ambassador of truth and you get to share it. Yeah, I already know. I already know that we're breaking algorithms everywhere, though, by reposting and rerunning things and getting people engaged in a conversation all day long. Our website is blowing up as a result of it. And so I know that it's working, and we're going to continue to run the reruns every single day. We're going to continue to do it, right? And we're going to get better and better and better. I might actually do some stuff where we have a guest show host in the morning where I'm going to have calls from you. We're going to have all sorts of stuff. But now it's a chance where you get to actually share. You get to be a part of the solution, not the problem. So, but before we go to break, and before we're going to watch this 9 minutes, we're going to go to a commercial break right afterwards, and then we're going to have Erik on. And he's going to tell you his story about standing up silently. No one's even told his story. And yet it cost him his job. It cost him his reputation. And they covered up the crime. And guess who did nothing? The DAs did nothing. The police did nothing. The sheriff did nothing. The politicians did nothing. The congressmen did nothing. They all did nothing. You want to know why? Because they're all in on it. And they're all cowards. Let's call these cowards and these punks what they are. They're traitors to the American people, and they allow for elections to get stolen because to them it's like, it's just the way that's just how the sausage is made. No longer. Watch this video.
All right, I'm back. So the next thing I promised was to show everybody the screenshots from the actual surveillance. So what I'll do is in the comments, I'm going to post the election statutes or the laws basically and the penalty for those, which in my previous video I showed the list of poll watcher and election offenses in that 1505 Colorado statute or whatever it is. So what I'll kind of do now is break down screenshots and then please compare on your own to the comment section with the laws. All right, so the first one, just to kind of give everybody a sense of the polling location, what you have here is the fire station training room. As you can see, the poll boxes or where people cast their votes is blocked to the camera screen, which was required. And then what happens to be this group of folks sitting right there in front of this camera here are the actual poll watchers. So quick little violation there. This gentleman on his phone seems to be taking a picture there of voters. And then here's another one. This is probably the most egregious visual of everything, but what you see there is the head poll watcher lady and the campaign manager for the candidates has a laptop out. And when I had met with the DA investigator, they have software where they can render that image of better quality. And what he did was compare what's in front of the camera up here to what you could see on the screen. And turns out she's actually recording the election polling locations and people coming in and out there, which of course is quite a worrisome thing. So out here, this is the front of the fire station there, and you can see the cones for the electioneering zone, which if you look at the very top, you'll see another cone out there. In order to not block the driveway there and for allow people to park, those cones weren't actually set at the 100-foot perimeter. There was another sign on those cones out there that says this is the perimeter 100 feet from the polling location, which is the no electioneering zone. But what we have in this picture is the lady that was in there that had the laptop up and was recording. She, as I watch this video, she gets up way too much from the poll watcher's booth, which is, a poll watcher is supposed to come in, be able to observe the election to make sure that nothing funky is going on. Quite contrary to that, in this scenario, what we saw was the poll watchers were the ones coordinating this scheme here. So if you look closely, she walks out of the polling location. She's on her cell phone. The outside camera out here has audio, so you can hear part of her conversation, and she's asking for vehicle identification from whoever she's on the phone with. And then as she walks out, she's looking in the parking lot as they drive in. What I'll show you next is here. Now she's greeting these people who she just coordinated receiving, basically. So what you see is that throughout the entire day, all of the poll watchers that were sitting there are answering phone calls or looking at their phone, getting texts. They walk out to the front of the station within the electioneering zone, and they are meeting voters coming in, and on the audio you can hear names being given. And so what became clear when I said I started watching this, I didn't know what I was looking for. As I watched more, hour upon hour, I started to pick up on this. Like, if you watch one poll watcher get up, they grab their phone, they walk to the front door, switch to this camera, they come out, they're looking for a vehicle, and then they greet people, tell them the names to vote for. So clearly the part of the scheme here was that somebody was off-site recruiting people to come in, and when they did do that, the poll watchers were receiving them, telling them who to vote for. And this happened throughout the entire day. So now I got to get to the other half of this scheme is it's bad enough, they're coordinating and somebody is incentivizing people to come and vote. They show up to the polling location. They're met by a poll watcher who tells them who to go vote for. They go in, they do it. Throughout the day, when people would come in, poll watcher would come back, sit down. They would cast their ballot at those booths that you saw, and then thumbs up and confirmations, basically. And so solving the other half of this puzzle was, how is that ensuring a victory, besides obviously just stacking voters for who your candidate is? But what I started to pick up on, and so did the DA investigator, is in this picture you can see this is a poll watcher, and he's got something in his hand, and every time he nods to somebody coming out of the polling booth, he's doing an action with his hand. And so I have to watch this over and over and over again to kind of try to figure it out, and I'll show you one more picture of it. And here's another poll watcher showing, again, that female that was recording earlier. And so what it turned out to be in watching the video is the whole scheme kind of came together here. The poll watcher receives a phone call. They walk out. They greet the voter. Hey, this is who you need to vote for. They go in. Poll watcher comes, takes their seat again. they get the nod from the person leaving the booth as they go to turn in their ballot. And what these ended up being are track counters. So they would click every time they confirmed a vote for their candidates. And then later on in the video in the afternoon, some of the candidates come walking up and meet with their poll watchers, and you can't visually see it. You can kind of just see them pass the camera as they come up, but they actually have a conversation directly under that camera, so the audio is really good. But they kind of detail this entire scheme, what the vote totals are, what they need to keep them from being to ensure a victory. It gets quite wild on how far they're willing to go, but the whole scheme kind of came together that this was a collective effort of the five, and throughout the day they were keeping vote tallies, confirming them with somebody offsite who's recruiting people to come in and incentivizing them. And once they know that they reach a number basically that guarantees them victory, what you see on the footage is, voting kind of comes to a drawdown. And sure enough, like I referred to in the last videos, this explains why the vote total, the amount of voters that came to the polling locations, were more than triple any historical. And an election has happened since where they went back to that historical baseline. So obviously for this specific election, May 2nd, 2023, we can deduce how this all happened. And so when I speak of this, I've shown you a couple of screenshots, but this happens hundreds of times throughout the day, which basically ends up as one act of that is a criminal offense in an election scheme. So it gets quite crazy, the amount of what you would call election violations or illegal acts during this entire election day, hundreds and hundreds of them, because again, they would receive a phone call. They're not supposed to have electronic devices. They're recording people. They're incentivizing voters. They're going out, meeting them, telling them who to vote for, getting the confirmation, clicking their counters, syncing their counters throughout the day to make sure they all have the same totals, and then basically tracking the numbers throughout the day to know, okay, we needed to get to this many. And in that conversation below the camera, this lady here sitting looking at the counter right now actually says, well, if we're under 800, we win this regardless. So they were tracking how they had to do that throughout the day, and it was crazy to watch on camera.
Okay, sorry, I was eating a oatmeal cream pie. So not that you cared what I was doing and why, but let me just tell you about Erik. He asked for none of this. He asked for none of this. I'm going to read his bio just so you understand. And I waited. I wanted to reach out and talk to him, like have a conversation with him, a long conversation with him before the interview. But I wanted to have the interview be, we didn't talk. Other than going back and forth on text. So he spent his life serving this community with courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the truth. He spent 18 years in federal service. He stepped away to raise his daughters and took the role of fire chief in a small rural Colorado department. In just 1 year, with the help of a strong board and dedicated personnel, he transformed the department from just 5 members to over 60 highly trained, mission-ready firefighters. But his career took a dramatic turn after a May 2023 election, when irregularities at the polls prompted him to review 48 hours of surveillance footage, uncovering undeniable evidence of coordinated election misconduct. It doesn't matter where the misconduct comes from. He had an obligation to look into it. 18 years of service. Following his moral and legal duty, he reported his findings to the district attorney's office. That decision set off a chain of retaliation. The very individuals under investigation were sworn in as the new board, ordered him to destroy the surveillance evidence, froze the fire district's bank accounts, and ultimately fired him for refusing to comply. He stood firm in his oath to the Constitution, not to a corrupt board. He filed a federal lawsuit to defend his First Amendment right. While the court acknowledged misconduct, His case was dismissed on the grounds that reporting the evidence was part of his professional duties. Excuse me. Dismissed on the grounds that reporting the evidence was part of his professional duties. Now Erik is taking the fight to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, determined to make sure that the public servants do not lose their constitutional protections for exposing corruption. This is more than just about Erik. This is about the fact that we get one sand of justice, one kernel of sand of justice, and the rest of it becomes kabuki theater. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. So we're going to go to commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Erik. I want to say this really quick. I do appreciate all the phone calls and emails, the people that have reached out to me saying, Joe, how do I know? There's been so many gold companies out there that are not that good. We also have a gun company that's going to be coming in too. And we're going to have some conversations about that. But Goldco, bullets, precious metals, right? I mean, there's only three things that I think you should collect. Bullets, guns, and precious metals. But I want to tell you that Goldco is just different. And I'm not just the one thing that I can say about this, because I want you to understand that they give me all these scripts and they're like, hey, you want to sell it? I was like, no, I want to try it first. And so I went and I tried it and I was like, and do not put me through a different process. I want to walk the process. I want you to explain it to me. I want you to tell me, how far am I behind on day one? Like if I buy this right now and I put this in the IRA, how much am I going to be behind? And they're like, it's like getting, a life insurance, not a life insurance, but you invest in your IRA, right? There are penalties if you take it out. I'm like, okay, that checks. I'm not going to take it out, so I'm good. And it's based on spot rate. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. I want them to make money. And then I walk through the process, and just like you would invest in anything else, I get some sent to me, and I'm now going through the process of converting over my IRA. But it's a real process, and the process is good. And all you have to do is go and just have them send you something and check it out. I'm not asking you to say yes to it. Call up and give it your child. Just want you to go to untamedgold.com and try it. Have them send you a packet. And if you like what you hear and like what you say, and you check out all the reviews and the things they've been able to do, and some of the other spokespeople they have, like Candace Owens and Magnum PI guy, Tom Selleck, there's a reason why they have really good, ethical people that are representing their product, including me. So they go there to untamedgold.com, check it out, and it'll go through all the reasons and get your kit. And then when you get your kit, that'll push you towards the ability to have confidence in a company that's been around for decades. So we'll go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Erik. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
My first time here shooting at the shooting range.
How's it going? It's also my first time, and I'm really excited.
It's also my first time here, first time shooting guns.
My day off of work, and they were like, hey, want to shoot some guns? That was awesome. The revolver is crazy. I will definitely come again.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really cool experience.
100% bringing my friends here another time.
I like to come shoot because I get to spend time with my family. And the same for me. I love spending time with my family. It's something to do.
It's a lot of fun shooting.
When I first moved back in into town. The first place I came was DCF Guns, and I signed up for a membership right away.
I got into shooting because of self-defense. I would encourage all women to be ready and to feel comfortable handling a handgun.
This was my first time ever shooting at DCF West. It felt amazing. I shot an AR-15 and it was amazing. It was powerful and I loved it.
I'm here today as a part of a group of women that support one another in continuing to practice and refine our knowledge. Not only self-protection of ourselves, but protection of our loved ones as well.
I have fun and I get to meet with other ladies.
You should always be prepared to defend yourself.
And I love coming to DCF Guns West to shoot. I come with my family. It's a nice, clean, friendly range. Here I feel safe. I feel like the people to my left and my right are also really cognizant of their range etiquette. That's why I come to DCF Guns West.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. Okay, hey, we're back. And I'm just going to get right into it and bring Erik on. Erik Holt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I do like your mustache. I do like your mustache. Mustache for the win.
That's my fire service homage right there.
18 years. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself. I mean, just give us a view of who Erik is.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm my priority in life is being a dad to my 2 daughters, single dad. I took the position we're going to talk about and left federal service so that I could be home with them when I got full custody of both teenage girls. So that's my main drive in life and why I do everything I do. But a little further back, I was given a gift in high school to join like the volunteer fire department. The local chief came and recruited me working at a grocery store, meat market. I didn't know what I was going to do in life at 15, 16 years old. And I was given this gift of like, hey, you can be a public servant. This is the path. I'm from a small town, wasn't going anywhere. And that led me to make better decisions, having that opportunity. So I enlisted in the Army. I tell everybody back in 2003, we were a nation at war, and I was an 18-year-old man in good physical shape. So it was a natural progression. But I served in firefighting as my MOS in the Army, which is a very small group, but was super happy to get out of my hometown to serve my country, deployed to Iraq in 2005, 2006. And then when I got back, my oldest daughter was conceived, and I was in my last year of the Army and had an opportunity to get out of enlisted service and join the general schedule side of working for the feds. So I was hired as a civilian firefighter on military basis, and I loved it. I still got to serve the military. I still got to be at home. I got to be a firefighter professionally, and I've always been very passionate about my career. And so after 18 years, getting to that point where you're eligible for retirement and all that stuff, I'm like, that's approaching, but my daughters are number one. So when the court granted me full custody of them, they were my focus. I found an opportunity to apply for this fire chief's job, and it went really amazing for some time, and then boom, like a cannon going off, it ended, and have since had to rebuild life, while doing that with 2 teenage girls to support. So it's been a tough road for sure.
Are you are you blacklisted in the industry?
I don't know, the answer to that. I have applied for hundreds of jobs as a fire chief and have never gotten one since. So it's a tough road. I wouldn't say necessarily blacklisted, but it's a huge stain. Like, who's going to hire a guy that got fired? You know?
What did they say the reason why they fired you? Did they give you a reason for it?
I've had some directly tell me, "Hey, we love you. You're super qualified. We think you'd be good, but you have this, pending litigation, and you were fired, and we can't really, make a determination on the cause because it's still in litigation." And I respect the ones that tell me, but most of them, I would say 90% of them, just say, "Hey, you weren't selected." They know the HR game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into this. You took all this video footage, 48 hours of it. I mean, somebody came to you, right, and said, "Hey, listen, this is some shenanigans going on. We got to get to the bottom of it. Can you look into it?" Now, were you all that interested in looking into it to start with, or was it like, okay, you're going to do your duty and look into it because somebody asked you to?
Yeah, I could care less. I mean, honestly, it was a local election. Somebody complained to me. I had nothing to do with the actual election. Statutorily, that's a board of directors thing. It was a contentious thing amongst the two sides of candidates, and I got I was there because a gentleman suffered a cardiac arrest, and unfortunately, he passed away where we were taking the ambulance, right? So that's at the fire station. I was doing my job as being a fire chief. So as I'm leaving again, somebody stopped me and was like, "Hey, this is what I just overheard." And it's actually that video you showed when the lady's out on her phone. Somebody overheard that and came to me. And so I reported it to the election officer, and I took them to that election officer. And I would say it started a fire in my belly that I was like, I don't like this. I don't like what is being said, what I'm hearing. And I contacted the attorney that represented the district, who employed the DEO, the election official, because of how contentious it was. The law firm ran the election, basically. So I reached out to her and said, "Hey, like, this is what I'm hearing." She confirmed some stuff to me, like, "Yeah, I'm hearing the same." Uh, and then like, immediately I thought, okay, there's a security system. Maybe I can do it. I can investigate this kind of on my own. But this is a third party vendor. So I had to go, in the days after, to Walmart, buy thumb drive, go to this third party company when I was off work, pay them out of my own pocket, and retrieve this footage. And then I didn't know what I was looking for, man. 40 some odd hours of footage to go over. And I just sat down with the statutes printed out and started watching. And I, like, by the time I pieced all that stuff together, I was like, oh no, right? Like,
Nobody wants to fight that. Nobody wants to find out that the voice of the people had been subverted by a group of people that committed crimes. Nobody wants that.
Right. And it was so obvious, like, once everything was together, like, you just showed that video. That stuff in and of itself is a small portion of it, but it's so obvious.
Okay, so you take it to the DA. Who's the DA? It's district what?
Fourth Judicial, El Paso County, Colorado Springs.
You took this to El Paso County.
So it's a combined judicial district between Teller County and El Paso County. Okay. So they're the ones that handle it all.
And you were this fire chief in the town of
Florissant.
Okay. Okay. I'm starting. My blood's starting to boil because El Paso County is one of the places that I did the cast vote record analysis that found that Dominion Voting Systems was using an algorithm that was created by Eric Coomer in order to steal elections, and others as well. I mean, I have different issues when it comes to the election. You probably now at this point has heard about that. So you took it to the district attorney of El Paso County.
Yeah,
did you talk to the DA or the ADA at that point?
No. So this is kind of the funny part. So the attorney said, I've got a conflict of interest. Our law firm ran the election, and I represent the district. So I'm going to resign from representing the district and become the person that turns us over. So I was like trying to reach out. I like called the DA's office. I'm like, hey, can I talk to the DA? And they're like, no. Like I was pretty naive to the whole game here. And so eventually, like, this investigator calls me back and he's like, I hear that you have evidence, I'd like to meet with you. I'm like, yes, Mr. Law Enforcement Officer, like, that's your job. And
that's normal, right? I mean, this is a normal thing you do. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Right.
Right. And completely voluntary, which becomes central to this whole litigation that I'm going through. But so I meet with him. I'm like, meet me before work. Let's sit down. I'll slap the thumb drive in. I'll show you what I've noticed and let you go from there. Again, Mr. Law Enforcement Officer. So the guy was cool. He meets with me.
What was his name?
Clint Kramer.
Okay, Clint Kramer. We're gonna keep tabs on all this stuff. Okay, Clint Kramer at the the El Paso County DA's office. He's a criminal investigator. He meets with you. Keep going.
Yeah. So he tells me from the beginning, like, I'm not the guy that does election stuff, but David Guest is on vacation or isn't here, but he is the guy that will investigate this. I'm here to kind of collect everything and I'll pass it over to him when he gets back.
That guy's David Guest. Okay.
Yeah. So the way I describe this to people is cops are, normal people, but when they work, they're very rigid people, right?
Yeah.
And so we're shooting kind of the breeze before, as I'm setting up my computer and all that stuff. And I start playing him some of the video, which you guys have just showed, and he gets so rigid, like a board, and he's in work mode all of a sudden. And so I noticed the body language change, and we go through some stuff. We walk around the station. He's asking for some specifics. Identify this person, identify that, identify what statute you're talking about here, all that stuff. And he never goes back into that. So when he's getting ready to leave, he's like it's super clear, man. This is election fraud. I want you to hear that from me. And I was like, cool. Talk about a warm fuzzy feeling, right? I'm trying to run a fire department and protect my people and protect the democratic process, but my sole focus has to be my professional duties of maintaining a fire department. People dial 911 because they're in distress, they need help, and this violation of the democratic process is just stripping the capability away to do that. And so I feel really good when I leave that meeting with him, like, okay, everything will be fine. At least they're working on it. And so that happened really like a day after the incumbent board president had filed a motion to stay the election for this investigation. And so all these things are sort of happening, and I'm just responding to calls. I'm leading firemen, and it only gets worse. Not to, we'll kind of go along as we go. Sorry.
What do you mean it got worse? What do you mean it got worse?
Well, so there's like different parts of this. Like I keep them pretty segregated in my head of like what the official side was. But on the fire department side, like a week after the election, these guys are emailing me. This guy, Paul Del Toro, who becomes the board president, and sends this list of like things you're going to do because we won the election. And the first thing on there is, disable the security system. And I'm like, that's a really weird thing for a newly elected board of directors on a fire department to be concerned with.
And you have this documentation, correct?
Yeah, it's an email. It's all there. And
and what's that guy's name again?
Paul Del Toro.
Paul Del Toro. Is he still the board president?
No, he's still on the board. He's the one of the members that is still there. This 2 years later or whatever. 4 of them are gone that committed this stuff. So
Nobody was arrested.
Not one fine, not one charge, not one anything. One interview was done. That's it. This whole investigation.
Okay.
So from the professional side of things, like I'm getting all these things. The attorneys are like, hey, like they're not the board. Don't, like don't get involved in the back and forth between these two boards. Like your job is to run the department, which I knew very well. So what ended up happening is like May 24th comes around and the outgoing board president files a public notice postponing the meeting. The regular scheduled board meeting is when the transition of power happens, right? And so these guys are chomping at the bit. They're harassing me day in and day out of like seizing power, they call it. We're seizing power. And so basically
what board is this? This is just the county board, or what is this? What is this?
The fire department board. For a fire department. This craziness is about a fire department.
So hold on a second. This election was for the fire department board.
Yeah. Yeah, special district board.
This it gets weirder. The more like it's just weird.
It's how I ended up in this position makes no sense to me. I will tell you that plainly.
So they're stealing fire department boards.
See, yes, they're stealing the election to serve as a board of directors for a fire department,
and they don't get paid.
There's a small stipend, but like it's not any incentive. You know what I mean?
But they're stealing. They're committing crimes.
Yeah.
I can't even. I'm sorry. The funny part of this for me is that people will do weird things just for power, right? For a couple pieces of silver, and
ego and power.
to run a firehouse. I mean,
right. But the last concern on their mind is running a fire department. That's what, I need people to understand here. Is, as the fire chief, I'm like, I've got a department to run. You guys, stood up and ran for election to run a fire department, and we're in the midst of criminal investigations and election fraud, and it just gets worse. So this board that committed election fraud, 5 days after I turned over this evidence, now declares themselves seized power because they don't acknowledge that the meeting got delayed. And so literally, like, the attorney just kind of throws her hands up like, yeah, this has to be decided in court. Like, I don't have the authority to step in either way. And due to the conflict of interest, like, I officially resign now. And so basically, like, the district court, it's in that period of time where you're like waiting to be heard, like you file something and they put it on the docket and yada yada. And so
is it a big budget? I mean, is there a huge budget for the fire department?
About $1 million, roughly.
It's $1 million.
Yeah, per year, and it's it's all tax money. And nothing that's going to change people's lives.
I think that this is the part I missed. These people are stealing. We question whether or not elections are stolen on a national level, and we got people stealing board member or board seats in a municipal election as if they are winning the Taj Mahal.
And so that's the thing. Like, if you can do that at the local level, you can do that at jurisdictions across the country, right? This is what I've learned throughout my journey here. So onward, like they are now like, oh, we seized power. And if you don't listen to us, it's insubordination. And I'm like, I got a fire department to run. I have like emergency calls for service to answer. And we're heading into Memorial Day weekend, like the end of May in 2023. And the board president, now self-seated, Paul Del Toro, calls and he's like, I froze the bank accounts of the district. I'm like, what? And if you go to my pages, I have the recorded phone call, because at least at this point I was like recognizing I need to start, protecting things. And so he basically was like, first item, what's up with these security cameras? I want the audio off. And I'm like, that's not a thing, and I kind of like dodge the question here. And then he tells me he froze the bank accounts. Going into, you live in Colorado, man. Pikes Peak Memorial Day weekend is the official kickoff to summer. Can you imagine the influx of demands on emergency services for that? And yet I don't have a bank account to pay for fuel to feed, whatever I need. So, so that was their first act, is freeze the bank accounts illegally. And so I'm like, how did you do that? You're not a signatory on the bank account. Well, I went in and I told them I have the authority to do that. And this becomes, I'm trying to kind of speed through this because it was a lot, but like a week later, the board or the bank says, no, this isn't a legal thing. And he, in email, memorialized this. So like this was all given to the district attorney's office, that the bank said that my arrangement with them was illegal. So to
your arrangement or his arrangement?
His arrangement. Paul Del Toro went to the bank, said, I'm the board president. He's not authorized on the bank account. It freezes these accounts. The bank comes back, they got lawyers and stuff. We're like, that's illegal. We're not honoring that.
What bank is this?
Oh, I don't remember. It's in Woodland Park, Colorado. So there's probably two banks. So as a little foreshadowing, I imagine people can understand, like, bills stop being paid and people start calling the fire chief. One of those being the insurance that covered the district. So back up 1 second. So June 5th.
This is not funny, by the way, Eric, but we're going to have a little bit of humor in this because it is Friday. But you just told me that the insurance for the district didn't get paid.
Yeah. Okay. So to jump this point, though, like I got one step ahead. June 5th, this other board member, Alan Schultz, responds pro se to the complaint filed at the district court by the old board president to stay the election, and says that he requests that I be charged criminally because I turned over evidence to the investigators. So he acknowledges it and then, has this animosity towards the fact that he knows that I secured the security footage of election fraud and turned that over to an investigator, right? So I invoke my indemnification to the board president on June 5th. I say, hey, like, he's threatening me. I have an indemnification clause. I need the district to help me get an attorney. June 6th happens. The next day, the insurance cancels. Or they call and tell Paul Del Toro that they were going to cancel it because it didn't get paid. So he and the rest of the board calls me and they say, you got to shut down the fire district. We don't have insurance. And I'm like, imagine the anger I have as the fire chief. I now have to publicly tell people my fire department cannot respond to calls. How do I do that?
I feel like there's a takeover happening in all this.
There is. Everybody can feel it at the time, right? But this is how it played out. And it plays out over the span of 33 days. I want everybody to understand, from the day I met with the DA investigator and provided evidence to my being fired for the election, for the insurance not being paid, was 33 days. And the chaos that happened between those 33 days was insane. None of it was about responding to emergency calls for the community in any which way.
Okay. So the old investigator, the investigator that came out, said it was election fraud, passes it over to the new guy, tells him it's election fraud. At that point, that guy gets a phone call probably from the DA or someone else. It sounds like the leftist guys are the ones that are trying to take over the board. Am I right on that? Or are they Republicans too?
Yeah, I don't know their political ideation, to be honest.
That's actually really smart. The fact you actually said that, good test, is that you didn't care. It could have been Peter Pan. Peter Pan could have been trying to steal the election and put Captain Hook in there. What would you care? Who cares? The fact he stole the election.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it.
I don't care who it is. So basically June 22nd, they post this meeting agenda. All meetings have to have a public agenda like any other special district, a government meeting. So they posted and they basically like, we're going to evaluate Erik Holt's employment. And so I called David Guest again. And I had a couple days before that called him back and I said like, hey, I know that Kramer passed this to you. I need to report fraud, banking fraud, theft, public funds corruption, all this stuff to you. And that's in the DA investigation report that I did that. And then the final time I called him was June 21st, 2023, when I got, the notice basically that they were going to fire me. And I called him and I said, hey man, like I would like you guys to help me out. I'm a witness to all of this and they're going to fire me. Is that not some form of retaliation? And he basically blows me off and was like, nah, I don't think it is. And I was like,
that's what Guest says.
Yeah. And that was the first time I was like, uh-oh, what the hell? Right? Like, what's happening right now? And yeah, I literally the next day, June 22nd, I lost my job. And they fired me and fired all 62 of the firefighters that served under me. Gone.
Okay,
no fire department.
So my guess is that they brought in El Paso County Fire Department and replaced it.
No, they brought in volunteers that were their friends, basically. So now you've got 80-year-olds responding to calls with no medical training, no certifications in firefighting.
That's not real. That's not real.
It's a real story. You can look it up on the Pikes Peak Courier did an article about like all members walked out, and then the board just sort of said, "You're not firefighters here anymore." Not even like official letters or nothing. It was absolutely wild.
And these board people are still there?
So initially, like 2 within 6 months resigned, and then the election just happened again in May after 2-year terms, and 2 of them got voted off, and now 1 remains, which is Paul Del Toro. But it's still kind of associates and friends. You know how that good old boy stuff is.
And what happened to the people that got voted out? Where are those guys? They're witnesses in your case, obviously.
Yeah, so that's kind of the uniqueness now is a lot of them don't like each other and they're at odds with each other, but because of me, they're still tied together in litigation. So I have the federal case that I filed against the district, the fire department, basically insurance. And then, which funny enough, you might find the humor in this. It's the insurance that called and said, we're canceling your insurance for non-payment is now defending them. Talk about my luck, right? But
Yep.
I also filed recently, before the statutes ran out, I filed a District Court of Colorado in the 4th Judicial against them in their individual capacities. So I named all 5 of them as defendants, not the district.
Okay, so you did that, and that is represented by an attorney, or you did that pro se as well?
I'm pro se for everything. I spent $150,000, sold my house to get to this stage,
All right, so there's a guy that you need to talk to out of Castle Rock. I'm going to put you in touch with him. He is an attorney. This case is right up his alley, and frankly, I think that he would have a heyday on this case. So
I'd appreciate that, because a fire chief pro se in the 10th Circuit isn't a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the federal court's a little different. Now, I do want to say this, and this is where it's going to get really, this is going to really gray area for everyone that's paying attention. I want you to listen to this. Who was the judge in your case?
Judge Nina Wang.
So it is Nina Wong. It says Wang, but it's Wong. What other case did she just actually, election fraud case, did she just sit? Who was it? Mike Lindell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she committed about a half dozen crimes, in my opinion, in order to stand up and protect that radical leftist Eric Coomer, and to stop the jury from hearing evidence that they should have been able to hear, and lied like rugs, And she did everything she could in order to interfere with that. And the case was a monumental success because there's a little box that says, do you think that he did it maliciously? And it was like, no. So the jury verdict was very inconsistent. They found me credible, and I'm the guy that started the whole thing. They found me truthful, non-defamatory. And they found Mike Lindell defamatory, but not with malice. See how that works?
Yeah,
Very inconsistent.
Talk about a learning curve. I don't know what your experience was before federal court and in that stuff, but for me, like, I hired an attorney. I thought it was pretty clear, like 33 days on a fake thing. Like, they took action to freeze a bank account and then fired somebody for the bill not getting paid. Seemed like a pretty home run thing, but the judge granted summary judgment after 2 years that in the broadest scope of like what official duties. So anybody that knows how you have to show First Amendment retaliation is the Garcetti Pickering. And so she wouldn't even let me get past prong one, which is, was I acting in my official duties?
The
I.e.,
answer is yes.
well, I don't think I was. I think I was acting in my citizen capacity. Nobody paid me to investigate election fraud.
Okay. All right. Now I get it. Okay. But your official capacity gave you access to the video.
Yeah. Well, she said because I was the only paid full-time employee and the board was under investigation, it was the only person that he could have got the footage from was the fire chief. Therefore, summary judgment is warranted. And just for everybody out there, like, summary judgment is only if there's no disputed facts of the case. And so I have a huge problem with her ruling.
And
That
you should, because she's a radical left judge, a communist judge, a rotted to the core and incredibly disgusting. And look, she was very kind to me, but I didn't put up with anything. I was like, yeah, you want me to lie? No. Okay. So I'm going to just tell her then, if you want me to tell you the truth. They put me under what's called an ad limine deal, saying that I couldn't discuss any parts of the case that they said were off limits. I couldn't talk about Coomer's a Satanist. I couldn't talk about, right? And the whole case was about me. The whole trial was about me. Mike's trial, my name, I think, is in the transcript some 20,000 times. 20,000. I don't know if that's, maybe it's 18,000. Somebody said it was like 20,000. So maybe it's less than that. But you could probably take Mike Lindell, his name, and my name, put it next to each other, and mine's like times 5,000% more than his.
Is that because they needed to try to discredit you, or like what?
They tried everything they could to discredit me. The entire trial was about me, and they wrote about 1% of the trial about me in the news, and that was only time that they wrote about me was when they could slander me. And because I gave good testimony and I was very truthful to the jury, and the jury got to hear me for 2 days, they didn't want to address that. I mean, you want to talk about, and you had Kyle Clark in there. You had all these communist Antifa journalists. These really bad people that are horribly, horribly, horrible people were in there on the journalist side. And they yeah. So I know exactly what you're dealing with Nina Wong. She is.
And here's my thing. All I want is to show evidence to a jury. I believe in our justice system and as it was established.
Now, do you?
Well, I can't get to a jury because of the judge. Like,
because they get to decide who gets justice and who doesn't. So it's not a justice system. It's a judge system. It's a system where they get to roadblock and take away the rights of Americans. And if you don't like it, you don't stand up when they walk in the room because they get to wear the black robe and act like you're just a peasant, a slave. Then you don't get to the point where of all the footage you have, it's factual. Of all the calls that you have, it's all factual. It's factual data. And now what they're saying is that we're going to create this environment, this little chasm over here, and say, no, we can't allow you to go forward, and we can't allow the public to see this. So we're going to stop you in your tracks. Am I wrong?
That sounds exactly what my opinion is, because There's one element that's dispositive that the judge can determine, which is Garcetti's prong one.
Yeah.
Was it official duties? And if it's official duties, then you can't be protected by the First Amendment for retaliation. And guess what was decided on the broadest sense possible, ignoring tons of evidence. Like, I wasn't the custodian of the footage. I had to pay for it through a third-party vendor. I wasn't in charge of the election like she inferred. Somebody was hired by the board to do that. And, I haven't a chance on appeal, but this is so gone from the fact that election fraud was committed that it's about whether I, as the fire chief, was acting within my official duties of, i.e., what I was paid to do.
So they became the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this, by the way, is why we have a lawless system in our country. We don't have a system of laws. We have a lawless system. It isn't anything of what it says. Court system, the judges, the attorneys, they get to decide. They get to decide and put their fingers on the scales of justice. It doesn't even operate the way it's supposed to operate. It's basically a communist system right now.
Yeah, my thing is, why is there procedural things that knock this out of court for me to show, right? Like, why can't I just, OJ got his trial, right? Like, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Why can't I go in and a jury of my peers, as the system was established, and my constitutional right, what is the Fourth Amendment, right? Like, or Seventh Amendment, so that I can have a jury hear the details and make a decision. And I can't get that after $150,000, video proof, attorneys, everything. Like, it just got dismissed by this judge.
Makes zero sense. 0 cents. All right. So you have an appeal that's scheduled. There's a man you need to talk to. His name's Grant Vanderjack.
Okay.
I'll get you his information. He's a very, very, very good attorney. He keeps winning. Him and his wife are both attorneys. She ran for the DA in the 23rd district. Frankly, I think she should have won. Very, 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 very good attorney. Grant Vanderjack. So if anybody else needs an attorney, he's a really good attorney. Really good attorney. So I'm going to get you connected with him. Get all that information. We're going to put it out there. Do you have a site or something where all this stuff is, where people can read it and go through it?
Yeah. So this is after summary judgment. My little spiel here, is I just got sick of being quiet about it. Like, nobody was ever going to find out this stuff. I'd never be on here if I just sat quiet. And whether I ever recoup or not, America needs to know these things are happening. And this is one small district can happen. It can happen across the country, and boom, you've got a whole election that has no integrity. And I know that you're fighting that battle, and I appreciate that, brother. So I'm out there talking about it. I have a TikTok, a Facebook, and an X account, Justice for Holt, at Justice for Holt, HOLT. And then I started a GoFundMe, which is super hard to get any help on, but I have, because I can't. I sold my home, moved my girls in with family halfway across the country, and paid my lawyer up front. And after 150 grand, they lost in summary judgment, and then went, well, you got to give us 50 grand up front to take this to appeal. And I can't do that. You know what I mean? And so, and I also can't, as an American, allow that ruling to be affirmed, where now it's case law that other people can reference as why nobody gets to have a right, So I got to continue the fight. I did it pro se. I hope I did good, but I'm not an attorney. I'm a fireman. So
we hope to get your job back too. And Grant is a patriot. He's a good man. And so those of you that know him, make sure you ping him on Facebook and say, hey, you got to help Erik. Erik, and that's a GoFundMe.com/F/free-speech-and-the-cost-of-integrity. Okay, you should have made that shorter. I just want you to know, you should have just said /Erik. But
go to the search and type in justice for Holt, Holt.
Okay, justice for Holt. Justice for Holt.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Okay. And by the way, another thing you should do is you should change it. Well, I'm sure they'll do it. They'll forgive you here on the GoFundMe, but move it to a Give, Send, Go, because GoFundMe is a communist organization that has stripped away patriots and stopped people from getting access to funds and frankly
Give,
stood
Send,
up for
Go.
some really
Okay.
bad people. So Give,
I'm gonna
Send,
write that
Go
down.
is a better place to go. Look, I do appreciate you reaching out to me. I'm going to have another conversation with you where I send you some stuff. So make sure I can connect you and Grant. I'm going to call Grant first. But if you are listening and you want to help Erik, you should. And we will give a little bit to Erik, and we hope that all of you will as well. And it just takes a village, right? So this is about making sure we protect the rights of people in our community. And again, I'm going to say it like I said before. President Trump got into office. It did not mean, put that, if you would, in all the put that link in all the places that were broadcast. But if you think that this fight can be won by President Trump, it can't. It can only be won by the people in the community that stand up for the community. So that's all I'll say there. Erik, thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate you very much, and thanks for giving it all. And standing up for what's right. And there's a thing that I was taught a long time ago. What's right is rarely popular. What's popular is rarely right. The hard road it's a hard road, but it is a hard road for a reason, and it always leads to a place where it was worth it.
Thank you, brother. Like I started this, I will never show two girls that I am raising that I gave up. Ever. So to the last breath I have, I'll fight for our country.
You sold your house to make sure you could get some justice. I've done similar things over the last 5 years. And it hurts because people take shots at you and say stuff to you, and you know that they would never, they're paper tigers. They're paper tigers. Mm-hmm. But keep fighting. I appreciate you. Thanks, Erik. God bless you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Man, we keep hearing all these stories about people that are whistleblowers that have been adversely affected. And we know that there is a large contingent of people in our country. We call them Con Inc. You have the left, you have the right. They're two wings of the same bird. You have a lot of rhinos and people that sit in these little cliques, and it's like high school. And you have an obligation. You have an obligation to stand up for people in your community. And who is Chris said the courts are rigged against us, Joe. And Chris, you would know because they did the same thing to you. No matter where we turn, we never get to the place where we can actually get it in front of a jury because the judge stand in stark contrast to the truth. So, well, I think you guys should have a great weekend. It's going to be an amazing weekend. And remember, you have your family. It's going to be awesome. Pray, stand, speak, act. Pray, stand, speak, act. Do the things that are necessary to protect your family, right? You know what that is? Fighting. You know, I've never seen a fight I didn't like. And always speak the truth. You know, the one thing I can say is, so Jeff reached out to me and he said some stuff and I'm like, no, that's not true. And then I remember going through the text thread or looking at the comments and he said something, Jeff said something. And I was like, yeah, that's not right. And then he went and checked and did some research and spent 2 days in it. And he came back to me. He's like, man, I was wrong. I don't like being wrong. And I was like, wow, I got this new hat that says Jira. Joe is right again. Somebody bought that for me. My friend Jerry did. I'm not right all the time. I'm not going to handle every situation right. What exactly is Con Inc? Con Inc. C-O-N. Conservative Inc. is what Con Inc. is. Conservative Inc. It's the Bannons and the Julie Kellys and the the Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, this group of people that walk around in a symbiotic little environment. They protect each other while shitting on anyone and creating an environment where they'll walk around and subtly say, hey, do me a favor, tell them not to talk to Kyle. Hey, do me a favor, tell them not to talk to Joe. And then they walk in, they get in positions of power and authority, and they only promote themselves because they're just a bunch of pieces of shit. That's Con Inc. It extends all the way into the turning point where they basically sexually harassed a young lady that if you'd have done it to my daughter, I'd have beat you. I'd have beat you within an inch of your life. And then they made them the victims, and that Con Inc. Right. And I'm going to pull people outside of that. I think Tucker Carlson is outside of the purview of Con Inc. I think Candace Owens has proven that she's given the finger and say, that's not Con Inc. Ben Shapiro is Con Inc. Right? He's the guy that said you're stupid if you don't get the vaccine. Only it started killing a bunch of people, and now you look who's the stupid one, only to come back. We will get to a place where we start to recognize that all these people want this little cool kids club, as if it's like Kardashian club. You're going to eventually not want to be a part of it. You want to know why? Not because you weren't invited, but because of the pure evil. While it sits there and tells you that the person that should be running things is what's that guy's name? The gay dude, Scott Pressler. The one that won Pennsylvania. Oh, that's right. That never happened either. The one that slept with some dude and some gay orgy inside the GOP office. Yeah, that guy somehow is someone that we should revere, put on a pedestal. I'm taking pot shots at a lot of people. It's like, Joe, do you like anyone? Yeah, I do. I like Kyle Seraphin. I like Steve Friend. I like Garrett O'Boyles. I like them. I not only like them, Marcus Allen. You say, well, those are all FBI whistleblowers. They're not the only ones I like, but it's a large group of them that I do like. And I could start talking about some of the others. I like Doc Chambers. Why? Because he's real. I like Candace Taylor. Not just Candace Owens, but Candace Taylor. I like them all. Why? Because they're good people. They speak the truth and they don't care. That's who we want to support. All right. So here we go with the Friday stuff. Let me just get back to it. I get squirreled out there for a minute. We will not get to a place where we have, and I'm going to drop the article today. You'll get it here in the next 30 minutes. And I'll put it everywhere on all my socials. Go check the socials. Your job is to do this for me. You go out and share. You go out and speak. You proselyte on what's really happening in the community, and you don't stop talking about it. You share the message, but you become the messenger. What I'm saying is actually not that. What Erik is saying is not that trivial. It's not. It's easy. Like here's a case that Nina Wong decided that she was going to be judge, jury, executioner, just like every other case. Kernel of justice gets through. And typically it's because that person did something to President Trump or someone that's in this elite battle. See, the elite battles and wars, they have consequences for people. They'll shoot at people. But the people down here, the plebes, we're treated like an inconvenience. So you go do your thing. I'm going to put something out there that I think you'll find super interesting. It's going to be super long. But then go and share that. And make sure that you give us a thumbs up on the way out. Make sure you take care of your family this weekend. Make sure that you stay prayed up. And make sure that you don't lose sight over the fact that you have an immense amount of blessings. And even in the middle of this fight, you might have to give up a ton. You still have lived an amazing life. Even if you're going through a lot, you still lived an amazing life. God's given you all sorts of stuff. And you need to make sure that you're grateful for that while you're out there fighting, not just for yourself, but the people around you. So let's pray it out, shall we? Father God, thank you for just the opportunity to have these amazing guests. Thank you for Doc Chambers. Thank you for Erik Holt. Thank you for the commitment that they both have shown in different ways and for the voice that they have. Father, it's time that we rise up and do things collectively and build our own fraternity of good people. Good men and women that are willing to fight no matter what, and to not do what's popular, but to do what is absolutely right. And Father, there's been people that have told me that, you have to pick and choose your battles when it comes to having ethics or morals. And sometimes I've kept quiet. So for that, Father, I ask you to please forgive me. But at the same time, I recognize that I have to have humility and I have to have grace. So in those cases, Father, where I should show that grace, I ask you to just urge me to do that I may understand and hear that voice of you speaking to me and telling me that here's the time. And in all other places, Father, I just ask you to give me the wisdom and the strength to keep fighting against the evil that we have in our community that is going after our children and our grandchildren, and not just here in the United States, but around the world, that they have created this institutional cancer and created an environment where they can hurt anyone they want at a moment's notice. Father, I ask you to give us the strength to stand as one, to set aside our petty differences and to do what we need to do in order to support and to restore you to our communities and to our country. And we recognize that nothing happens that you don't want to happen. So we just ask that gracefully you will give us the vision to see what part we play, when we should move forward and when we should be patient in all things that you progress. I say these things, Father, humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay. I will see you. I will share on XGab Truth, Vocal, Getter, Parlor, Minds, MeWe, Blue Sky, Liberty Line. Are you on Blue Sky? Oh, you can't be. Facebook, Wimkin, and Pickaxe. I didn't even know about half of those. So if everyone did that, we're going to run a couple reruns. We'll run them today. We'll run it tomorrow. Yeah. Jeff has something to say what I said. Yeah. Amen, amen, amen. Okay. I keep forgetting it's on a little bit of a delay. Have a great weekend. I love you all. Thanks for joining us. And I will see you on Monday. God bless you.